All right, all right, all right. Hello, and welcome to Kai Chi Alchemy. You can call me Katchi. This is a space of love, y'all. Welcome or welcome back. Let me fix that lighting a little bit. Welcome or welcome back. I hope that you are having a beautiful day so far, wherever you're at, wherever this is finding you today. And I felt called to pull a Sacred Sites Oracle card for everybody tuning in here today. So let us see what Spirit has to share with you here today. Let me just make sure that I'm using the right stack of cards so we don't get any repeats, because we've done quite the collection of Sacred Sites readings so far. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so I'm gonna have everybody do a brief one breath meditation here. You can go ahead and take one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, and you can hold it at the top there if you'd like, if you're comfortable. Settling into that part of yourself that is connected to your higher self, connected to spirit, connected to your powers of discernment, connected to your intuition. Now let us see here. Freya, Folly, Michael, Mary, please be here with me now. Please allow me to channel a message in alignment with the collective's greatest and highest good, balanced with that of the general collective at large. Thank you for your blessings. Thank you for your protection. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your support. Please allow me to channel a message for this collective here today, free of any delusions, distortions. Etc. Please and thank you, thank you, thank you. Please and thank you, thank you, thank you. Please and thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. We got ball back for the second card if you are curious, but I was done with that. Oh, and Denali on the bottom, maybe of some sort of significance to ya. The walrus. I never saw that movie Tusk, but there may be something about that for one of y'all. I don't know. Let me move this out of the way a little bit. I keep getting that shadow on my face. It looks funny. Okay. But actually, we got Mount Sianai. Literally, right? Isn't this an Old Testament thing as well? Oh, I'm excited. Okay, so we're reading from the Sacred Sites Oracle card deck here by Barbara Miklujon-Free, and the Mount Sinai listing here is in Egypt from the east. It's on page 102. The magician and the high priest, the magician, the fool, and the high priestess may be of some significance for some of y'all. Oh, did I go too far? Here we are. Mount Sinai. So the energy focus for this one here today is called foundations. which I find very interesting because we were talking so much about foundations and like path clearing and like clearing away people, places, things in your life that were built on rotting foundations from the first place, from the jump in the first place. You know what I'm getting at there. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, as I was saying, we are going to be reading a little bit into your past, your present, and your future energy from this Mount Sianai Oracle card. And in the lower world, in the past position here, it says, this site had a spiritual importance long before the Abrahamic religions staked their claim to it. On the card, the goddess Nephthys, protector of the dead, is seen witnessing worship to Apis, the bull god of strength, who represented a king's divine transition after death. When the Tau cross on the card is mounted with an oval, Ru, an Ankh is formed, representing the astrological sign of Taurus, the bull. The Ankh here is wrapped in a snake, signifying Kundalini awakening. Moses turned a snake into a staff to lead his people out of slavery. Have you ever risked all to ensure your survival? Or did your parents, your grandparents, or even earlier ancestors talk to elderly relatives and research your family tree? Your ancestors are your foundation, where you come from. They offer you a way of finding out about yourself. That is so interesting because they said that the energy focus was foundations. This is very Capricorn, very Taurus, very Virgo, very earthy. Yes. And I think that that's excellent advice for everybody, always, constantly. But this question that they stated was, have you ever risked all to ensure your survival or your predecessors, your ancestors, your family? It reminds me a little bit of the fact that my grandmother, who grew up in an environment of, childhood trauma and familial dysfunction, narcissistic family systems, and abuse and incest, and I wonder if I'm gonna get flagged for that. I should figure out the alternate, the fake word. And so all of that stuff, she could have found some dysfunctional way of dealing and continuing on in the environment that she was in. But she actually decided to leave and to try and move away from Oklahoma with my grandfather. And in the process, her family ended up kidnapping her and bringing her back home. And she had to fight her way out to get back to my grandfather. And she was assaulted on the way from Oklahoma to, I don't know if it was Chicago or somewhere else, but to my grandfather. And that whole experience, there were multiple steps where people could be like, well, why don't you just give up? Why don't you just give in? Why don't you just, You know, like you think you're better than your siblings, you think you're better than your aunts and your cousins, and like you think you're better than us. And she had to repeatedly stand up for what she wanted, what she needed, what she believed in. And because of that, you know, even though it took a little bit of time and things were definitely not perfect over the last couple of generations, she really did open up a pathway, a doorway, an opportunity for us to like ask questions and start unraveling these patterns, these behaviors that are like entrenched in our nervous systems that we keep passing on to our children. And I think that that's incredible and that's amazing. And then my grandfather, his dad, their family came from the insurance industry, and he was like, this is toxic and abusive and not something I want to be aligned with, not something I am aligned with. And so he made a really tough choice to walk away from all of that and leave all the money behind and leave all the security behind. And so we have also been struggling with that aspect. So security, do we want spiritual security? Do we want integrity? Or do we want financial, physical security? Do we want stability like that? And I think that we have been forced into this situation where we can see now that it's not either or. It was never either or. We don't have to be part of the toxic, abusive, negative insurance industry. I'm grateful that my family has moved away from that. And we do not have to continue the patterns of sexual abuse and familial trauma that, you know, my grandmother had going on. Hello. And so those were not easy decisions, and they had really impactful impacts on us, you know? And I think that my grandmother did very hard things to ensure our physical survival. And I think that on my grandfather's side of the family, we made decisions that were, you know, really vital to our spiritual survival. And it's almost like they saw each other in the end as like being at odds, but they were never at odds. They were helping us to purify and transmute something in our family into a totally new form, into a new balanced form. And even though they felt like the other person was undermining their mission, they actually worked together for good. All things work together for good. Okay, so we went through the past, through the Egyptian history section here. Maybe we will get into more of the Abrahamic religions relevance to this card here in the middle world, in the present position, related to the here and now for you. And it says, today there is a Greek Orthodox monastery at Sianai, where it is said that Moses, having left his royal life behind, received 2 tablets of stone inscribed with the 10 commandments. Right now, you may feel the things you hold as morally or ethically sacred are being challenged or abused. When people feel like this, it can eventually lead to revolution or fanaticism. Would you ever take such an extreme stance? For others, seeing a corrupt society can lead to apathy and depression. Remember, you have power. You stand on the solid foundations of what you have built and what you believe. Mount Sinai offers you perspective. Heal any rifts with those you should be holding close. Do something today, however small, a text, a call, a letter, to get the relationship back on firm ground. You can rebuild your world, starting with yourself and your family. You have all of the power to create whatever circumstance that you need to in this situation here. you have your discernment, you have your inner guidance, and it's really more about connecting in to those things in order to know, for one, like which relationships these may be for you in your life right now that, you know, may have fractured or been under stress due to this feeling that the things that are morally and ethically sacred to you are being challenged, were being challenged. This reminds me very much of when I was speaking to my sister about how I did not believe in like petty trash talk about my exes or my friends of the past, or, you know, people in the past of my life, and that I didn't have any desire to participate in the like vengeful, vindictive energy of people saying, you did something wrong, you wronged me, I feel like you're a bad person because of this behavior, and now I want to make you feel small, I want to make things harder for you, I want to, you know, hold on to your things because, and make it inconvenient for you to not have the stuff that you want, that you know, that belongs to you. I want to denigrate your dreams of like art or music or what, something you want to create in the world, something you're passionate about. Like, I think it's very important to look into the past and analyze, like, this is where this went wrong, or how this happened, this is where I felt this way about this behavior. And it can be very useful to talk about people from your past, but in the context of like productivity and like forgiveness and like putting things into its full context. And that's not how she believes in looking at things and approaching things and moving through the world. I was specifically trying to say that I don't have any feeling like you should move the way that I move. And I don't look down on you for having a different belief system than me, but I need to not be pressured into participating in your belief system and pretending that I am somebody that I am not to make you feel comfortable around me. And so in that circumstance, what do they say? Things that you hold morally or ethically sacred, the feeling that we need to, I mean, I do believe that we should, and it would be valuable to decenter men in certain circumstances and stuff, so I don't know if that's exactly the right term that I'm looking for, but it's something like that. Like we have a moral objective to rebalancing the scales because we know best and things have been wrong in the past, so the way to approach that is to try and force things to be right. And so, in a manner of speaking, I think that she saw anybody who did not align with and did not agree with and did not support and did not pour into her belief system as a threat to her mission, which I can respect. And I understand why she wanted to get as much space from that as possible. However, I feel like some people in that situation may have that feeling of like reactivity to feeling challenged in some way and overreacting. You know what I mean? And I'm not necessarily saying she was overreacting in that situation. I'm just saying that for you, if this is resonating, think back on a time when somebody's words or actions triggered you into feeling defensive and protective over something that is morally or ethically sacred to you. And take a moment to reflect on if things have shifted or changed in any way. If it's still serving you to be moving in that way. You know what I mean? Hello. Hello, Melanie. Hello, Jade. Good evening. And so if there is anybody that comes to mind when you're going through that process, you might want to consider reaching out in some way and attempting to reestablish that connection. Like, oh yeah, and it says things you hold morally or ethically sacred are being challenged or abused. It's a very charged word, isn't it? So when you feel like something's being abused, to defend against an abuser is a righteous cause, right? And so you can get real wrapped up in that energy. And it may be true on one hand, there may be some truth to it. So maybe at that time you needed that, or maybe you just needed time to cool off, or, I think the circumstances are going to be a little bit different for all of y'all. Take what resonates and leave the rest, as always. And it may be even like a part of yourself. It might be some parts work thing where maybe there's like a part of yourself that was feeling attacked, and like they're the things that were morally and ethically sacred to them were being challenged or abused by another part of yourself. And so you attempted to dominate and shut down that part of yourself. And now is a time to come into integration and reestablish some communication between those two parts. Or maybe both. Maybe it's a relationship and a parts work thing. The order of operations there is totally up to you and what you feel called towards, And then we have here in the upper world position, potential. When Moses descended from Mount Sianai to deliver the 10 Commandments, he found his followers taking part in bull worship, and he was angry. As the second commandment stated, "Thou shalt not worship false idols." Ask yourself what it is you worship and whether this someone or something is worthy of your attention. Are you yearning for celebrity, cosmetic surgery, expensive jewelry? Are you subject to unrequited love, or do you desire something else out of reach? When God demanded that no one should worship false idols, perhaps it was to prevent us from wasting our energy on something that has no spiritual value. Consider carefully what you wish for. Would it really bring you a better life? For example, would the new job you wish for make the most of your talents and attributes, as well as enabling you to live well? Or are you simply yearning for more money without considering the emotional or physical cost you would have to pay, or the fact that you might need to compromise your principles in order to succeed? Be totally honest. Right? So in the past, they're asking you to reflect upon who you came from, where you came from, your family, your foundation. And in the present, rectifying and integrating relationships in your life, in your present, to bring you more fully into the present, to bring you into a more full sense of integrity now that you have fixed up your foundation. And then moving forward, talking a lot about like dreams and goals and the future, and deciphering what the core motivations behind that are, and whether those core motivations are actually aligned with the reality of what that pursuit would really mean. You know what I mean? Yeah. False idols, things that have power over us that never actually have the capacity to give back to us. False idols are extractors. False idols are vampires. False idols are energies where we give our power away, and we never had the actual possibility of having that power returned to us, multiplied, co-created with. That was never it. False idols are where energy, attention, resources go to die. False idols, and I think that that's why in the Christ tradition, it's like always trying to remind you, God lives within your own heart. The kingdom is within your own heart. You will do all of these great things and greater things. It's like, it's putting the power back in your hands. It's reminding you to never give your power away. To never give your power away to false idols. I mean, I personally believe that in a lot of ways, the Jewish tradition was kind of like built on, well, was built on this false idol worship energy. It may have come from a good place though, you know, just like Christianity is trying to empower people at the root of it, but it has such a potential for being abused and misused. And having that aspect of it challenged. And it's so funny that something that is designed to assist and empower humanity into their sovereignty is actually generally used to take people's power away and to control them, not just from a like strong arming kind of way, but to control people from within their very own minds, to control people and the way they think about the world and themselves and relationships and power and spirit and like all of these really huge, impactful ways that we approach the world around us. Religion, particularly these Abrahamic religions, have made a mess of a good thing, right? And so it's really important to look at the things that we give our power away to, or the things that we believe have power, and really analyze, does this thing, person, place, situation, does this have a genuine capacity to give back to me, to co-create with me? Or is there some kind of dynamic here going on, a manipulation, an extractive manipulation to find a way to get you to bow down, to pour your energy, to worship something small and powerless, to give your power to it. So you look at it and you say, oh, there is power here. And it reinforces the image of the false idol. But that power was always yours. Whatever you've been giving your power away to, the reason it has so much power over you is because of the power that was inside of you that you gave to it. So every time you feel that force having power over you, 30:30 on the clock, every time you feel that force holding power over you, if you can, in that moment, feel into the fact that that power is yours, it was always yours, it's been yours, it's meant to be yours, I think it makes it instantaneously so much simpler and easier to take that power back. If you feel like you are hurting somebody, or you're trying to dismiss somebody's mission, even if their mission is to like hurt and dismiss and denigrate you, I mean, you know, like there might be something in there that causes a little resistance, or maybe you're like afraid of it. You fear the power that it has, or, you know, but that fear goes away, that shame goes away, all of that stuff goes away when you remember the power was always yours. Always yours. The power was yours when you were a cell in your great-grandmother's womb. The power was always yours when you went through this challenging circumstance with somebody that you had to create space from and protect yourself from and use your discernment around. The power was always yours when you began to worship false idols, began to believe in something extractive and non-regenerative and non-powerful having power over you. It was always yours in all of these circumstances. You already had it. You already had it. The only thing you didn't have, as usual, was the perspective that you needed. All right. So the recommendation here is a journal exercise. So if you'd like to grab your tea, your coffee, your journal, your pen, your favorite pen, we're gonna do this exercise called Your 10 Commandments. Oh, I love this. Okay. Bring some structure into your life. The original 10 Commandments were laid down for exactly that reason, created for the people of the time. Our culture today is very different, but it is still useful to have rules to stick to if they serve your highest purpose. If you have certain aspirations or dreams, think how you could best achieve them. What do you need to eliminate from your life in order to be the best that you can be? What do you need to do to find success, love, happiness? In your journal, make your own 10 commandments, a list of all the actions that will help you to stay on the right path of your personal journey. Whether you decide to try to listen to others more, or to stop deliberately causing pain with words or deeds, think of these commandments as friendly advice rather than as demands. Yes, I believe that is wise. Usually we respond better to friendly advice than to demands. Maybe some of y'all have some sort of form of like demand avoidance. Perhaps you're part of that whole world that does the neurodivergent labeling and stuff. The way I said that sounded, I don't have an issue with it, that if that happens to be your direction. I just thought it might be a serendipitous confirmation for some of y'all. Some people may be like on the spectrum or have some acquired neurodivergence, like CPTSD, stuff like that. And demand avoidance, I find, can be absolutely internally relevant as well. Yeah. The power that you've always had, sometimes you don't see it because you're not using it, because you're not exercising it, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. It doesn't, the potential exists within you. The potential always exists within you. But the way that you tap into that, the way that you make use of that, the way that you make that real, the way that you make that potential manifest into reality is through this practice of like faith and hope and conversation. What's the word I'm looking for? Dialogue between you and spirit. This dialogue that you engage in with spirit from a place of faith. Like when you sit down in earnest and you ask yourself, what do you need to find success? What do you need to find love? What do you need to find happiness? What do you need to eliminate from your life in order to be the best that you can be? All of that is implying that you can be the best that you can be. All of that is implying that there are possibilities for things that you can take action on that are going to clear space and create possibilities for you in your life. All of that process is moving and reinforcing this belief system that success, that love, that happiness, that whatever your goals and objectives and the things that you want to feel and do and experience are, you are moving from the assumption, from the belief that success is possible, that love is possible, that happiness is possible. And as much as a lot of people will kind of pay a little bit of lip service to what they want and how they don't have it, a lot of times it's usually more because they believe that people can't have what they want. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're recreating like childhood trauma, they're recreating past circumstances to prove to themselves that they shouldn't have hope, that they should give up, and that their current doubt, their current feeling of stuckness is validated. It's like a validation of their ego. And so you want to try and stop validating your ego in that way, especially when your ego self, your identity's belief is life sucks, this is hard, things are impossible, and things are unfair, nobody ever gets what they want, no success or happiness ever lasts. Like, if that's what deep down inside you believe and you want to find evidence of that, regardless of what you're saying with your mouth, you want to find evidence of that because that's what you believe and you want to validate your ego. The way that you step out of that, if that's where you're at, and no shame in that, we all spend some time there at one point or another in our lives, but the solution to being in that place of self-sabotage and stuckness is to sit down and ask those questions. To sit down in earnest and say, Spirit, Please allow me to see, to feel the evidence, to know the evidence, to see the glimmers, to feel what is possible, to brainstorm, to imagine. Please allow me to download new thoughts and ideas and solutions. And it is through that process of opening up and asking in earnest with expectation, that's how we learn and grow and change. That's how we get into that space of greater integrity and alignment. That is how we become sovereign co-creators of our own lives. And so, yeah, maybe we have family here, we have relationships here, we have false idols here. This is all about this struggle of like where power comes from, where to put power, and how to take your power back, so to speak. And so if you feel like you had things imposed upon you that like challenged, threatened, abused your deepest values, things that are sacred to you, then get really clear on what is really sacred to you. Literally write down what your top 10 commandments are so that you have a reference, so that you have a guide, so that you have something to go back to remind yourself, yes, better is possible. I believe better is possible. I believed better is possible. I am actively looking for better. And here are the guidelines for how I'm going to go about co-creating that anti-stuckness in my life. This is how we're gonna turn the wheel. This is how we're gonna get out the wheels out of the mud. You know, when you have a car and you end up stuck in the mud and you just spin your tires, you're putting all the gas on, right? And it's like the faster you go, the harder you push, the deeper you sink into the mud, the harder it's gonna be to get out, the more stuck you are. And I believe that the way that you get yourself out of that circumstance when you are in a car that's stuck in the mud is you take like a piece of wood and you put it up underneath the wheel so that it has some traction. It has something with like solidity and structure that pushes against you. That gives you some resistance, that gives you some sense of where you are in space, and that allows that car to push up off of that piece of wood, up out of the mud, and ideally get back on the road doing what you're trying to do, right? So if you got stuck because you were trying to avoid being overpowered by something dangerous on the road, but you ended up stuck in the mud, you need to get really serious and structured about delineating what the structure is that you're going to push up against in order to get yourself up and out, in order to remind yourself that the power was always in your hands, right? You always had this board in your hand, you just didn't know what to do with it, you didn't know what it was for, and because of that you didn't feel the weight of it, you didn't understand the power of it. So, your 10 commandments, journal on that today. A list of all the actions that will help you to stay on the right path of your personal journey. What do you need to eliminate from your life in order to be the best that you can be? What do you need to do to find success, love, and happiness? What are your guiding lights? What are your guideposts along this journey? If any of y'all are just tuning in now and you didn't get a look at it, I'm going to show you this Mount Sianai card so you can get any downloads off of that you'd like. I'll also try and post it up in the community tab. 44:33 on the timer. Hello. Yes, I am wrapping up, have a little bit of a low battery, but if you would like me to do a short reading on a specific question that you've got, feel free to throw it at me. if anybody has any of that. Okay. And otherwise, I am going to hop on tomorrow at some point. I'm not really sure when because it's my day off and I've got a lot of things kind of in transition, in process right now, so I'm not sure what my schedule is going to look like, but I will be on at some point. I appreciate all of y'all for being here today. Thank you so much for your time and your energy and your participation. Thank you so much for all of the engagement. Thank you for being here. Thank you for co-creating community with us. Thank you for an amazing past 18 months of showing up here, sharing my process, and connecting with all of y'all on your journey. It has been such an interesting experience connecting with this YouTube community where we all read each other's cards and energies and lift each other up, ask each other hard questions, challenge each other. It's really the most dynamic and productive and healthy and mature space I've ever been in. Not saying we're perfect by any means, but we're able to hold each other's messiness, hold our own messiness, and move from this place of faith, of belief, of progression, productivity, non-extractive, regenerative thought patterns, emotional patterns, relational patterns. We are literally rewiring reality here, today, yesterday, tomorrow, everywhere on YouTube in this divination community. We are rewiring our brains. We are rewiring the circuitry of this world. What do they call that? Grid work? Whatever? Yeah. This video is absolutely by far the longest Sacred Sites Oracle reading I have ever done. And I do have things to do, but I'm going to pull 1 to 3 floral tarot cards for this collective. Spirit, is there anything else that those gathered here today need to see, hear, feel, know, experience, etc.? Please and thank you, thank you, thank you. Please and thank you, thank you, thank you. Please and thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, we got the Hierophant. We got Judgment. We got the Lovers. The Hierophant can be in relation to structures, to systems, to institutions, to God, to the church, to the priest. It does look kind of like there's some kind of hand binding ceremony going on right there. A little nod to marriage things. The only reason I say that is because we have the Lovers here at the end. But the Lovers card specifically is also known as the choice, right? Yeah. Okay, so the Hierophant is about structure, is about God. What I'm getting here is this is the 10 Commandments. This is your 10 commandments. And you are being asked, this is a lotus, I think, right? Coming up out of the mud. You're being asked to come up out of the mud of your complicated, messy past experiences that have taught you and allowed you to understand in an even deeper sense, in an even deeper, grander sense, what your values and your purpose and your mission and your needs and your beliefs and your values are. So if you have this 10 commandments structure that you're putting together, this is a choice. Well, a choice that brings you into greater integrity, greater balance, greater union, greater integration. In order to reconcile your past challenges and your future hopes, it is up to you to make the choice, to make the judgment on how you process and interpret those people, places, experiences in your past, and what you choose to do with them. And what you choose to do with them is going to be the foundation of the structure of how you choose to live your life moving forward, to grow, And this came out, I thought it was just one card, but there's a bunch behind it. So behind the Hierophant, it says, the Hermit, the Ace of Wands, the Six of Cups. Ooh. So in order to really get clear on what these commandments are, on what this structure is, on what these expectations are, not from some external source up on high being passed down to you because they know best, and but actually so integrated from your own experience that it's like an unshakable wisdom and knowledge within you, and you may be open to shifting and changing those commandments and that worldview as time moves on, as you have new experiences. There's nothing set in stone about this necessarily, but you're getting to this checkpoint of a clearer perspective, a new perspective on your past challenges and how you can use those experiences to actually help you and other people in creating a more productive and aligned set of expectations and values and rules and commandments, right? So in order to get really aligned and integrated and understand yourself, in order to create that structure and those expectations and to write down those commandments, this is what you need to do. You need to slow down. You need to take some time to yourself. You need to create a safe space to be in that energy, to be in that hermit energy, to be able to look at the light and the wisdom of your own experience without it getting reflected off of other things, other people, getting confusing. Being in a dark room with a clear point of light, right? But not just some austere, ascetic environment, I'm some crazy yogi and I'm gonna force myself into, solitary confinement in order to, challenge myself and have some kind of spiritual insight and revelation. You don't need to go through the process from a orientation of pain. Sometimes that's useful and important and that's what people need. But for you particularly in this circumstance, yeah, you need to take some space to do this reflection and write these commandments, but not from a place of shame and like self-flagellation and like force, and you know, you have the natural motivation to move through this from a place that's authentic, from a place that just flows, from a place that like has power, but not power from force, not power from control, not power in the sense of strong arming, power in the sense of that authentic, leonine self-confidence, self-expression, that sun in your chest, that your inner child, that like undeniable truth, that spark inside of you, that has fire, that has weight, that has velocity inherently, naturally. Even when it's just sitting there, it's potential, just waiting to set dominoes into motion, right? But not in a destructive tower kind of sense, in a productive building kind of sense. Like a 7, 8 of Pentacles, something like that. So then we also had that clarified by Ace of Wands and 6 of Cups. This is like sunshine, beauty, light, love, nature, like enjoyment. It's this natural, authentic fire, vitality. It's this energy of fun in the sun, whimsy girl summer, whimsy boy summer. And 6 of Cups is all about like sweetness, nostalgia, childhood, coming from a place of joy, of fun, of play, of your inner child. That's the fire that is going to push this energy forward. This is like serious, austere, like this is a serious energy. But behind it, driving it, is this whimsy girl summer, this whimsy boy summer. We're coming into Leo season in like, I don't know, like tomorrow or something. Very, very timely. There may be some time specific element there for you. So yeah, right now, very soon, hop to. But like, not from a place of force, not from a place of shame, not from a place of fear, from a place of, you know what this is? Inspiration, genuine, authentic inspiration specific to you. What brings you joy? What brings you pleasure? What lights you up? Get clear on that. So maybe start the journaling from that. Trying to get into the energy of what I want to believe, what I want to create, what I want to achieve, what I want to experience. And then going into those questions, Spirit, how do I remove the things that are no longer serving me? What are those things that are no longer serving me? What are the steps I can take to bring this love, bring this success, bring this happiness, bring this fill in the blank to my life? And to ask in full earnestness with expectation of a response, of a reply, not necessarily in the external through signs and signals and, you know, people and stuff, but maybe even just from an internal inspiration, maybe just from an epiphany, maybe just from a dream. Use whatever is calling to you specifically right now. There is no one size fits all. It's funny because that's how she set it up. Your 10 commandments. This is an expectation. This is a symbol. This is a structure that we relate to as top-down control, as, you know, worshiping false idols, as having people, places, and things that like hold and lord power over us. But those people that hold and lord power over us, who never had the capacity to give us what we need and want, never had power to begin with. The only power that they had was the power that we gave them. So remember that. Remember what inspires you and lights you up and gets you going. And then remember what helps to get you there, to keep you there, to assist you there, to support you through that journey, so that it's sustainable, so that it's real, so that you can go through the process of proving to yourself that it's real and it always was real. Dreams do come true. And the confirmation, the negative confirmation bias that you've been moving from was never required 6:39 on the clock. It was never required. It was something that you were able to learn from. You were able to learn why it doesn't work, why it doesn't feel good, why it's not worth it. And that is an extremely valuable lesson that you can fill yourself up with joy and light and love and inspiration around. The worst, most painful, darkest things in the world can be reframed if we move from a place of faith and expectation and connection to God, which is that joy and that peace and that presence and that power and that vitality that comes from our heart, that comes from that genuine, authentic, leonine expression. Happy almost Leo season Eve, everybody. I love y'all so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your whatever time it is. I will see you all next time. I'll see you tomorrow at some point in the day, somewhere in there. Love, light, peace, and personal responsibility. I will see you there.